Hi, I'm Max Kaiser. This is the Kaiser Report. The war against financial terrorists like Jamie Dimon and Ben Bernanke will be won in places like this, the global nerve center and HQ of goldsilver.com here in Santa Monica, California. Stacey Herbert, talk to me.
Max, everywhere we go here in America, we see debt pushers, and the result of their over debt pushing. They're pushing this debt crack on people who are just dropping debt all over the street. So I have a headline here that is going to put into context and explain this bigger debt pushing story. The most dangerous drug in the world, devil's breath. Chemical from Colombia can block free will, wipe memory, and even kill. Scopolamine. Often blown into faces of victims or added to drinks. Within minutes, victims are like zombies, coherent but with no free will. Some victims report emptying bank accounts to robbers or helping them pillage their own house. And this is taken from the Get You Drunk tree in Colombia.
Yes, well, you could, another name for that, financially speaking, would be ZERP, where it creates financial zombies, like in Japan, for example, many zombie banks roaming the countryside, high on 0% interest rates. And this is a plague around the world. Bankers and central bankers high to the gills on this 0% interest rates. They don't need the Scopian, Scopala, Skipitama, whatever this crazy drug is. You just listen to the Federal Open Market Committee and Ben Bernanke's testimony before Congress will get you totally zooted on this kind of ZERP.
And you often talk about the casino gulag model, where people go in and they think, wow, I lost $1 million, but they gave me 3 free drinks. And I had a really good time. One victim of this scopolamine in Colombia, she took the man to her house and helped him gather all of her belongings, including her boyfriend's cameras and savings. She said, quote, "It is painful to have lost money, but I was actually quite lucky."
Well, it's like George Clooney here in Los Angeles. You know, he invited Obama to his house. And he put some mojo fojo on him, you know, pixie dust in his eyes, some scopolamine, and he's a zombie now, raising money for this front man for the dangerous central planners and cartels.
But again, using this as a metaphor for the debt pushers, is a lot of Americans will go into debt and basically sell their children's futures and say, well, I'm quite lucky because we have this SUV in the parking lot.
Toothless debt whores in the parking lot trying to score some more easy money from JP Morgan. And there's Jamie Dimon, chief crackhead in chief, selling that scopolamine debt on the sidewalk.
Well, in fact, I bought this new shirt just yesterday here in Santa Monica. And the woman selling it to me, who must have been making, what, $7, $8 an hour, she was very smiley and happy. She seemed quite happy with the fact that she had this job selling me a t-shirt. And she revealed to me that she had just graduated from university, on which she spent $150,000 for a marketing degree, $80,000 of it in student debt.
Yeah, I know this store. That's where I got this suit. I didn't pay a nickel for it. I told her that it was all in the better interest of the greater good if she simply lets me walk out with as many clothes as I want. You see, and she gave me that zombie look, like she just got, you know, the crack from Jamie Dimon, and she said, great, great.
Well, in this story about the devil's breath, this drug in Colombia that you just can blow into somebody's face and they turn into a zombie and give you whatever you want, they talked to a drug dealer named Dementia Black. He said the drug turns people into complete zombies and blocks memories from forming. So even after the drug wears off, victims have no recollection as to what happened. And that, again, we have no recollection of what happened, that our nation is $14 trillion in debt. We have no recollection as to how our Federal Reserve has trillions more in debt. We have no recollection why we are so in debt.
No, it's like Jamie Dimon's name is Dementia Black and Blue. Because they used the blue logo from Chase, right? And they have no memory of the last quarter when Bernanke went in front of Congress and said the debt ceiling was just breached, we have to raise the debt ceiling. Then the next quarter he comes back and says, oh, the debt ceiling was breached, we need a debt ceiling. They go, how did that happen? I don't remember. Did it happen before? Did we ever breach the debt ceiling? I don't know. Must be the Dementia Black and Blue that Jamie Dimon blew in my face the last time he was over in Congress, lying through his teeth because the guy's a terrorist.
Well, exactly. I mean, Ben Bernanke claims he's a historian of the Great Depression, and yet he has no recollection of what caused the Great Depression and continues to do the same thing that happened back then, but he claims I'm an expert on it.
You'll get a job down in Colombia. I'm sure we'll see him, or we'll end up on one of those news stories about well, I'm not going to go into that news story about the Mexicans and the headless people on the border. That would be too, crude for this show, so we'll leave that to your imagination.
But you brought up dementia black and blue. Who is Matt Zames?
Who is Matt Zames?
Exactly. Well, former long-term capital management terrorist Matt Zames assumes the reins of $70 trillion in JP Morgan's exploding fin crap, which I believe is a word you made up.
I coined that word, financial crap or fin crap. Apparently this guy from long-term capital management, who you recall blew up the economy back, when Greenspan was the Federal Reserve chairman, and they actually had to lower interest rates to bail out these yacht owners in Connecticut. So grannies around the world got less that month so that these yacht owners in Connecticut could, be bailed out of their losing position. He was involved, so now that they got rid of the crud on their trading desk in London, being replaced with this guy, he's a known financial terrorist. If you go to the post office, you see his face on the wall. That's who they're recruiting from. Known financial terrorists.
Well, yeah, like I said, this drug, this devil's breath drug from Colombia, people totally forget. They become zombies. They don't remember a single thing of all the mistakes they made, how they came to have no belongings left in their home. The fact is they handed it over to the drug pusher, but they have no recollection of it. So how do we keep on hiring the same people who almost blew up the world economy? That was the first time we almost blew up due to derivatives and the martingale betting technique of doubling down, doubling down. And this is what has just happened out of London, is JP Morgan double down, double down, double down. And now they're trapped in this position where they still have those positions opened.
You mentioned the martingale betting system, and it's been mentioned recently, and this is actually an important issue to consider. If you go to the casino, you put $100 on red, and you lose, and you're going to make it back by betting on red again, and you do this 10 times in a row with $100, do you know what it would take on that 11th bet to get even? $200,000. And that's how quickly, the exponential growth and risk happens on these desks, whether it's JP Morgan or elsewhere on Wall Street. But instead of any accountability whatsoever, they inhale the devil's breath, they engage in selective amnesia, they have no memory that they just blew up some county in Montgomery County or some other country like Greece, and they think we're going to get lucky this time. They're degenerates, they're gambleaholics. They should be in a program for debt-aholism.
And now, the article about the Colombian drug says that experts are baffled as to why Colombia is riddled with these scopolamine-related crimes. And it's the same thing here. They look around and they seem baffled by, why is the economy so bad? Why are people unemployed? Why are there 50 million people on food stamps? We don't know. And it's the same sort of experts are baffled.
Well, it's because it's a zombie nation, vampire nation. And so when you're introduced into that cult, you then believe all the ideology of that cult. Ben Bernanke is a cult leader. He's putting forth this message like Charles Manson of getting people hooked on this non-functioning economy as a way to express their inner psychosis.
Yes, and well, they go before Congress, the likes of Ben Bernanke or Jamie Dimon or Lloyd Blankfein, and they blow this debt drug all over everybody, and they think it's all great. Now, U.S. consumers increased their borrowing in March, $21.4 billion, largest gain since 2001. So total borrowing rose to a seasonally adjusted $2.54 trillion. That's slightly below the all-time high of $2.58 trillion, reached in July 2008. 8 months after the Great Recession began. But here's how they describe it here, Max. More borrowing is generally viewed as a healthy sign for the economy.
It is a healthy sign for an economy that's based entirely on borrowing and consumption with debt for a population that is increasingly becoming less educated and more in the throes of the ideological cult masters who give them the devil's breath and on the seeds of their own destruction. And that's exactly right. It's a beautiful equation. This is the vampire model. If you clamp on somebody's neck and you suck out all their blood, and now they wake up in the middle of the night looking for other people to suck on their blood, then you're a success.
And it continues, it suggests consumers are gaining confidence and growing more comfortable taking on debt. But as we described with this devil's breath, if you blow it in people's faces, they're being led as a zombie.
Well, I mean, here we are in Los Angeles, and it even percolates up to the pop culture. This is why we have a movie after movie featuring teenager zombies. Yeah. This is an attempt to get teenagers to buy into the ideology of being perpetually in debt for the rest of their lives so that they can support the cult masters and the devil's breath wielding psychopaths at the top, whether it's Bernanke or Diamond, the black and blue dementia man himself there in New York City, driving the entire economy into the grave.
You know, a lot of people out there will say, well, you know, those people are the bad ones, they're borrowing, and I'm saving, and I'm buying silver gold, I'm protecting myself. And yet, when you look back at the Jamie Dimon and the 70 trillion or 90 trillion, as some say, their derivatives book that is apparently being doubled down every week, that debt is being blown in our face like this devil's breath, because ultimately it doesn't matter what you do as